Yeah, I mean, I think so, but I feel like I'm always scared to say if it feels good because it's like if I look at the place where I am, like I'm fortunate enough to even do that, and some people aren't. So it's like, how can I say that I feel good when I'm helping people that aren't necessarily at the same level as where I am, or like same opportunities as I have?
Welcome to the Thriving in the Middle podcast. Believe it or not, I chose to spend the rest of my life in middle school. I've been teaching for over 19 years, and my primary goal can be boiled down into one task: developing human potential. My three favorite educational words are autonomy, agency, and authenticity. There's nothing more authentic than hearing about the realities of middle and high school life directly from the students who have lived through it. Whether you're a parent looking for perspective, a teacher trying to better understand your students, or a student looking for some guidance, this podcast has something for everyone. The goal is not only to help you survive, but to thrive during this complicated time of life. Ready? Let's thrive together. Today we are joined by Anabelle Burt. Anabelle is a student at GHS and is a part of the 2026 graduating class. I had the pleasure of having Anabelle in class 4 short years ago. Anabelle is in the middle of her senior year. She wears a lot of hats at GHS, and she is planning the next chapter of her life. I know how precious time is and how busy she is, and so I am incredibly grateful that she is passing all of that up to sit down today to talk to us. Hi, Anabelle.
Hey,
How are you?
good.
Yeah, this is 8th period, actually, so using a little bit of the end of your day here, and it'll go into the after school. If you're down, I would like to jump into the old podcast time machine, and I want to jump back to my experiential learner class. You were actually the first, I think you were the first ever class of ELM. Does that sound right? You were either the first or second.
I thought it was like the first or second semester.
Okay, so maybe if you were in second semester, it's probably the second grouping that I had of ELM. And in that class, I try to give kids a space to where they can explore what they're passionate about and then go do something that's change-worthy inside that space and inside of our community. And you created, help me with the name, Microwave.
Open microwave,
Which is a play on the idea of an open mic session. As an ELA teacher, I love that. I love the idea of getting people on stage. I actually shared a podcast that I listened to called The Moth. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Have you listened to that recently at all? You listened to a few episodes then, I think.
I did, yeah.
And it's just a cool platform that asks people to get on stage and share a powerful story. And so that's kind of what you did. You created a safe space in our little theater and asked people to show up and share on stage. And you shared on stage. And if you're willing and will allow me, I wanted to play that recording real quick. Are you ready?
Sure, go for it.
All right, cool. How do you feel about listening to this? Is it hard because
Yes,
you were
it's
younger,
hard.
or is it because what you're sharing?
I feel like I've matured more.
Sure. Well, I think that's how life works, right?
I hope. Hello, my name is Anabelle, and here we go. Adopted. It's a word that has been in my life for all of it, and along with being adopted, I was also abandoned. Someone just dropped me off in a basket right in front of the orphanage. She was just like, I don't want you anymore. But don't get me wrong, I am happy and every bit grateful of where I am now in my life, but the mystery of why I was left still remains. My sister likes to joke about how I could have been born in a barn or some shack in the middle of nowhere. But sometimes I think maybe it's because China had a law where you could only have one child. So I was thinking that my parents would have just dropped me off because the younger siblings are more important, clearly. I also don't know if I have any biological siblings. Like, I could have a twin. Imagine a second me. Like, wow, that'd be pretty cool. But now as I grow to be more mature, there are so many questions I have, and not knowing scares me. Especially right now as I am told to start looking into my future when I don't even know how my beginning started. just the thought, what happens if I was a mistake? Like, my biological parents couldn't handle me. What was wrong with me? Did they ever actually truly love me? It seems selfish to just assume when I haven't even met them, but what if it's true? It leaves me in like a situation where I have to change my mindset to think that I am actually important in this life. My family tells me that it happened for a reason, which they have to say. And I'm so grateful for them for coming to China and adopting me, but they can't hide me or protect me from knowing the truth. I wanted to share something happy or positive about myself. However, being abandoned and then adopted is just a big part of my life, and it's going to remain a mystery. And I can never be happy with it until I'm confident with who I am and be okay with not knowing. So, being adopted is just a blast.
Man, okay. So let's break that down a little bit. So, first of all, let me say, I mean, I want to share that it struck me then. Like sitting in that audience, I was just enamored, and actually, like, to back up to your comment of like uncomfortable listening to that a little bit because you feel like you've matured since then. Although there was like some laughter packaging it, which I think was just nervousness manifesting itself, the maturity of what you're saying, like the awareness and the reality and the realness of those thoughts and your willingness to get up there and say them is like actually like profoundly mature, emotionally strong, like all these things that as an adult, I got up later and read something that I had written about my grandfather, and that was uber hard for me. And mine was a much more like novel or normal part of transitioning in life, where you got up there and shared this thing that is much more unique to you, with a bunch of people who definitely can't relate. Like no one in that audience can connect with what you're saying, but still the willingness to get up there and say it is inspiring. So it was then, it is now, to sit and listen to it. What do you think about what you said and what you created and what you were compelled to share?
I think I didn't have a lot of public speaking skills there. And the audience was kind of like, because it was mostly people that were coming there for extra credit to read their like blackout poetry.
Okay.
And so that was kind of like probably why I was pretty nervous, because I didn't know any of those people. They were kind of just there for extra credit, and
yeah,
I didn't think they would actually truly want to like hear what I had to say, or like.
Do you think so? 4 years later, do you think that's true? Like, do you think that struck a chord with people in the audience, even though they maybe weren't there to expect that, or they weren't expecting they were going to hear something that deep and profound? Do you think being an audience member, it did still reach them?
For the middle schoolers?
Yeah.
I doubt it.
Okay. Were there other people? Were there older students as well?
Yeah, there were some people in my grade.
Okay.
Like Grace, which you could hear laughing in the background.
Yeah.
She was there.
There's absolutely something true about being in middle school and an immaturity that makes it really hard to relate, to empathize with other people and their experiences. Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of our portrait of graduates. It's this like thing that we keep like flexing and trying to put in front of kids about like, hey, as a human being, this really important thing is called empathy, like trying to understand what other people are going through. And so I agree that I bet for some in the audience, even if it momentarily caught them off guard or grabbed them, they couldn't relate. Right. How about what you said in the actual audio recording? Like, how do you feel about those statements now? Are those things that you still harbor and have questions about? Have you found any answers to those things? Are they things that you've let go of? Like, where are you at in terms of coming to, or like arriving or coming to peace with any of that?
I mean, I still feel like I ask myself that question still pretty often. I mean, I don't like dwell on it, or like.
And that question would be like, why did my parents give me up for adoption? Or the like, where is my place in the world question?
Like why I was given up.
Yeah.
Because also, some of the younger sibling thing wasn't even true, because I was born, and then like immediately after that, it was like 2 days later, I was dropped off. So it wouldn't be possible to have a younger sibling unless there was like.
And there's probably there is no way to even have or arrive at an answer to those questions. Like there is no there's no database, there's no like tracking system. Like those are things that you'll continue to ask yourself, but potentially will never have answers to, right?
Yeah.
So do you keep asking, or do you have to just come and arrive at peace with knowing that you can't have the answer? Like how does that work for you?
I mean, if I spent all my time like dwelling on it, I feel like I wouldn't be where I am today. Like I finished my college essay today, kind of like revising it, and my biggest topic was talking about opportunity cost and kind of like thinking back about that decision that my mom made. I mean, I could be like upset about it and stuff, but then again, I'm still like grateful for where I am, and that the importance of opportunity cost is not which decision you choose, it's just whether you're making that commitment to one of them.
And then like the what you make of it afterwards, I guess, like how you make the best of that situation. And I mean, just in trying to be a human that empathizes, I can only imagine what that might feel like. But I also then go down the path of like, I love this quote by William Shakespeare, that there's nothing neither good nor bad, but thinking makes it so. And that we kind of get the opportunity to try to see the light in dark places and the good in situations. And so I love this idea of opportunity costs, that there was a cost involved, but then it's provided you with an opportunity, and you're in a really good situation and place. So what was the opportunity cost? Like, what would you sum up that essay? Like, what was your thesis, or what was your walk away realization at the end of that? Is this it was for a college app?
Yeah, it was just
Okay.
like your...
Is it the Common App college app? And so it's the essay you submit for that.
Yes.
Do you write that in a class, or is that like you do this on the side and then?
I started writing it in summer, but then I revised it during English class when we had the opportunity.
So it's like a part of high school English is they know everybody needs to do this thing, and so they give you a chance to. Yeah, but you had already written it, part of it.
Part of it, yeah. I wrote a good first draft at the end of my junior year, which is where I came up. Like, I was shocked when I wrote those words the first time. Like, opportunity cost, I was like, oh, this is where I can take off. Where did
you come into contact with that as a concept? I mean, I feel like that's like it's kind of a businessy term. Somewhat like, do you know where you heard that?
Yeah, I talked about it in like 5th grade, and I just brought it up. Like, my intro was kind of talking about how they explained it in such like.
Who was it in 5th grade? Like, was it a teacher?
Mrs. Giannetto.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Shout out Mrs. Giannetto. So she was talking about opportunity costs in class.
Yeah, because it was like math, finance kind of stuff. Yeah. And she was like, which candy bar would you want to choose? And I was like, oh, that one, obviously, but then you start to realize that like decisions really impact you everywhere. And I think I was just naive then. And now looking back on it, it's like not every decision's like that big, but it's important to understand.
So what was your thesis? Like, what was your takeaway from that? Like, all said and done with that essay, like, is it just the realization that there are opportunity costs, or was there an evaluation of that situation and your opportunity costs?
I don't think I really had a clear ending, because like I feel like I'm still learning about it, and throughout college I'm sure I'll still be learning more. But it was kind of just like talking about like the direction that I'm going and where I want to, like, knowing this information, where I want to go with my next steps.
I like that you said, even though you're not going to provide or get answers to some of these questions, that they still sneak in. Like, you still can't help but ask yourself those. And I think that's a pretty common human experience. I have questions in my life that I know I'll never have answers to. And I've, for the most part, moved past them, or on my day-to-day I function, but they still like creep in sometimes. I can't help myself but like wonder or ponder. I think that's pretty normal human interaction. All right, cool. Thank you for that. If people are still listening or willing to stick around at the very end of the podcast, I'll throw my recording and what I read on stage that day too, so they can hear what I shared that day. So being adopted from China, which we talked about, you're juggling two very different cultural norms, and so you're sort of, adopted into a Western family, and they have their traditions and norms, and then I don't know, and I don't want to make assumptions, but I would assume there's a curiosity and a thought about, some of your Chinese culture and heritage as well. And so how do you juggle those two things? And have you, is there an intentionality behind like trying to kind of figure out what that was like in that side of your culture, as well as like your day-to-day life culture here and your adoptive family? Like how does that work? And do you juggle that? And what's that like?
I feel like I don't really, I don't think at a young age I really did anything about it,
Mm-hmm.
because I was so used to just being like, this is my family. We might not look the same, but we're still family. But then when I got to high school and like after doing that ELM class and kind of like exploring that, I still had a lot of questions and stuff. I realized that there wasn't like that many opportunities here at Granville to like involve myself in, or like talk to, like, or even like other people of Asian heritage. But I was lucky enough in high school to join Asian Culture Club, which is run by Mrs. Schnabel. So that was a interesting opportunity. I feel like it's not where, like, I'm the president of it now, co-president with Emerson, and I feel like it's not where I would want it to be.
What would you like to see differently?
I just feel like when I'm trying to talk to high school students and like trying to get them involved, like I'll be like, they'll be like, oh, don't I have to be Asian to join the Asian Culture Club? And I'm like, no, you don't. It's just like learning about Asian culture. And I feel like sometimes I fail because I use an advertisement of like, oh, there's good food and stuff, but like,
which is a huge part of culture, right? But
it is, but I feel like also like learning the history and like, and I wish I had more time to like research, but I don't think people would sit through a presentation like that.
Well, good news. I mean, you do have plenty of time. You got the rest of your life to explore that element and that field. Yeah, I mean, and I think just this curiosity about culture. Like, I love that people were like, wait, don't I have to be Asian to be an Asian? Like, no, you can just be curious about humans and different cultures and different places, which I think is increasingly more important in our world. I think we're sometimes becoming a little more closed-minded and a little more, internally focused, rather than kind of the world is flat and we're all on the same page and all countries need to be kind of working together because we're this one big planet. Any challenges, like as somebody who has a different racial background than the quote unquote majority, has that made navigating middle school, high school different for you in any way? Has it been challenging in any way?
I mean, here and there's a few like incidents where I like get mixed up by teachers will like get our names wrong. Which is like when I first had it, like I can remember in intermediate school sitting there and she called my name as Emerson and I was just like, what, where is she? And we weren't even in the same class, and it just like.
And so just to clarify, so this is a teacher like mistaking you for another Asian student just because you're Asian? Is that like, like confusing the two of you? Man, I'm trying to think. I'm sure I've probably been guilty of just as we're getting to know people and faces, and but that would suck. Like that would be hurtful. It
was a special ed teacher.
Yeah.
So I had them 4th through 6th grade.
Gotcha. So they've known you a long time.
So it was and it was also confusing because I would look around to my peers and some of the people all looked the same, like same haircut, same style.
I was gonna say I do that just for lots of students, just because as I'm getting to learn students, especially at the beginning of the year, where I'm like, I kind of know you, but you kind of look similarly enough that since I don't know you very well, but yeah, that would be frustrating for sure.
It was also like a repeated issue, and I was just like, I don't know, at the time, I don't know if I really like thought about it that much, because I was just like, oh, I guess it's no big deal. You have like 300 students that you're watching each day. But at the same time, I think I was like still hurt by
Yeah.
that, because I can still remember it.
Well, I apologize on behalf of all teachers. I know that I've mixed up students, and a name is so important, though. I mean, it is like the foundational, like, me, and I, like, so to mix that up, yeah, that's a bummer for sure. All right, so switching gears, you're an incredibly busy senior. You're involved in a lot of different things outside of just the normal schoolwork stuff that you have. Um, I love that do you agree? Like, do you think you're
I mean,
comparatively speaking?
comparatively, sure, I'm busy, but I'm like not that busy.
Yeah. You've signed up for at least a lot of things. Like, you've got your hands in a lot of different experiences and activities at the high school and outside of that. Which I just think that's encouraging. Like, I think middle school, high school is this time where we become hyper focused, because sometimes you have to, like, I'm worried about my grades, and I've got to, like, I'm involved in these things, and I got to get into this college, and like, so you've got so much on your plate that we sometimes forget to look outside and think about the other things and what we could be doing for other people, sometimes in a service capacity. So I'm glad to hear that. I think that's refreshing. And in your mom describing and telling me some of these things, she also said, which I really like this, she said, "It's been a pleasure watching you mature from a slightly bossy child," which I love, into a kind and giving adult, which, as a parent, I think that's what we're all like hoping, like we're hopeful for. There's going to be a little sassy time and a period in some people's lives, and we're like hoping that they turn into this more kind and caring and outward looking. So you're involved in the local Rotary, the Licking County Humane Society, or have been, at least. You've worked with these, Licking Memorial Hospital, the Food Pantry Network, the Granville Library, the Granville Center for the Arts, which also sidestep, but just to say, how cool is it that our community has all these different organizations? Like, I'm so appreciative and thankful. And in my ELM and my media from the middle, we partner with a lot of these people, and it's just such a blessing and a cool layer. And I love that all that exists. And so you've been able to be involved in those. You're also on the stage crew for the GHS theater and in steel drums. And I watched you help out with the middle school steel drum practice the other day. And I know you have a practice tonight for the GHS theater. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming up. Their recent or upcoming production. And so I'm curious if you've been able to put some thought to the idea of, like, why do you think you're involved in these things? Like, why do you volunteer? Why is that important, maybe? And then, has any of those experiences taught you anything?
Yeah, I know. I when I looked at the script, like, that was the biggest question that kind of came out to me, I guess, because I was like, I don't know if I have an answer, and I feel like as a senior, and like the fact that I do all these things, I should know exactly why I do them, but I don't really know. I just, like, I see an opportunity, and I realize that, like, I just don't like not doing anything with my time, and if I'm not doing anything, then why not spend my time doing something for other people?
Do you think that's like innate? Like, do you think that's just, it's kind of, you were compelled to do that? It's not like something that you've been conditioned or taught, or, like a parent saying, hey, these are really important, or it's more, it's just kind of been like, I would like to be doing things, and these seem like really good things to be doing?
I kind of think I came upon it myself, because, like, even my sister, since she's older than me, maybe I would have thought that watching her do stuff, but she wasn't as involved. But I was just like, oh, this is something that I want to do, and I knew.
Yeah. Well, I mean, kudos to you. And I as a parent as well, and a teacher, like, there are so many opportunities, but a lot of people choose not to be involved in them. Like, there are ample things that are out there, and a lot of students choose not to get involved. And I think it's so important to get involved. And so, how about the second half? Is there anything that being involved in those things have taught you, or you've taken away from those experiences, shaped you in any way?
No, I just don't.
Are they rewarding? Like, do you feel like doing them, you're like, I'm really glad that I'm a part of this, or this feels good, or
Yeah, I mean, I think so, but I feel like I'm always scared to say if it feels good because it's like if I look at the place where I am, like I'm fortunate enough to even do that, and some people aren't. So it's like, how can I say that I feel good when I'm helping people that aren't necessarily at the same level as where I am, or like same opportunities as I have?
do you think any of that's a profound statement. That's a very mature statement. Do you think any of that, or the ability to say that, or that perspective, comes out of being involved in any of those things? Like, do you think that's shaped your ability as a human to sit here and think that way? Like, I'm thinking, working at the food pantry, and like just this foundational understanding of knowing that there's food insecurity. Not everybody knows where their next meal is going to come from. Like, do you think that is sort of layered up, or maybe even solidified your idea that I'm not gonna like overly feel great about doing something because it was an opportunity to do it? Like, that's what I kind of hear you saying, is that like it wasn't about like feeling good for myself. It was about doing this thing because it's a gift that I'm in a position to do the thing for other people.
Yeah, I think like being adopted, I feel like I've been learned to like maybe like subconsciously, nobody's like telling me that I need to be grateful or anything, but I've just like learned, like it's just like I've just grown up trying to remember that I'm like grateful of where I am. And I think volunteering was another way of me like showing like tangible results of that I am like where I am, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's such a mature and profound perspective, and it's probably unique to where um, it's a reality of your situation, and you are who you are because of who you are. Like, you've been a product of your experiences, and so it's pretty cool that out of that it's turned you into a person who shows up and does really good things. Like, that's and it doesn't seem like to you it wasn't intentional. You're not like, I think a lot of people are calculating. They're like, okay, if I do this, I can put this on this resume, or if I do that, I can put it on this resume, and if I do, like, I'm trying to make myself look good. I feel like I hear you saying like you're just a person who shows up because it feels like the right thing to do. Like, you should do these things.
Yeah, I mean, once I've made a commitment, I'm gonna continue working with them because sometimes I see people doing NHS, the National Honor Society, and they're like, some people when they come ask like where I volunteer and where I get that, I'm like, oh, why do you need them? Just because of NHS? Right. And it's like
it cheapens it a little bit.
You're not thinking about it for other people. You're thinking about it for how it benefits you, and that's, I think, and that's why I was hesitant to even apply to NHS at first, because I was like, I don't even want to like give the idea that like having people sign it and think that I'm only here for that. I'm here because I want to be.
I wonder, I have this hope that those students who are signing up for it because of NHS, and because for them, that after experiencing it can come out the other side with a little bit of your perspective. You know what I mean? Like, being involved and working with people who are in need can shape their perspective of the world in a way that maybe they haven't had the opportunity to have exposure to yet. But yeah, that's good. And ELM a little bit tries to ask students to think about the world and passion and what they want in middle school, because I feel like waiting until you're a senior in high school and trying to pull a project together because you want to have a senior capstone or want to get into a college undermines it a little bit, like feels a little cheap, versus, man, I've been carrying this thing for multiple years because it matters to me. Like, I thought it was cool then, I think it's important now, and I've been doing this because I just choose to. That just feels more right to me. Like, it feels more genuine, I guess. Cool. So I didn't ask you intentionally about one of the volunteer opportunities that you are involved in the previous question, because I just thought it sounded really unique and interesting and wanted to hear a little more about it. So it's called Foster Further, and I'm wondering if you can maybe even just shine a light on it a little bit as an organization. Like, what is it and what does it do? And how have you been involved? involved in it?
Yeah, so it's a Licking County organization, nonprofit, and it's mostly helping kids that have grown out of the foster system. So they have like a starting strong program where they have like apartments where they have like aged out foster kids stay and then help them get like jobs and like.
And is it 18? Like what age does someone age out of a foster?
18.
18 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. And so at that point,
it's young.
it's like at that point I'm not imagining my own children, like they won't need me anymore at that point, right? Like, oh, okay, you're 18 now. Like the idea that they're no longer being supported, which that's what this does, is like offers that next step of support for them, hopefully. So at 18, and if they were in the foster situation, that means they weren't adopted. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Like fostering is someone who's like they're living with us for a time, but like it's not an official like adoption where I'm like saying you're permanently in our family. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And so then they turn 18, and so then these spaces and places then help them with the next stage and finding employment and and what's your role in that program?
So I don't specifically help with any of that because I'm not 18 myself, so
Sure.
there wouldn't be any way that I could like help advise them. So I help with
There might be some like certifications even. I mean, I like the people who are actually like hired to work with those. I would assume like have social work background and
I think so. But I help with the child care at the monthly meetings where they have like foster parent support groups, and then we provide like free child care for them while they're in that meeting. Like,
so parents who are fostering children have to show up to these meetings, and then they need someone to help with their kids that they're fostering.
Yeah.
And so you're there to help with that space in place. What's that like?
Chaotic.
Like a lot. I mean, how many kids are there?
It ranges, but maybe like 10 to 20.
And there's more than you? There's multiple people there helping in that moment, or is it just you with 10 kids?
It's changed. It's never been consistent.
Okay.
When I come, normally there's at least an adult and then like three other volunteers. But we're given such a big age range that sometimes we need one person just working with one like toddler.
Yeah. And some of those children are in unstable living conditions, like fostering. They may have just entered in. They could have had trauma and all kinds of. So I'm assuming that there might be even like high needs in some of those situations. Anything like stand out to you? Like, so I'm thinking, okay, this is an experience. Does that make you go like, hey, I think I could work with kids or help with kids in this capacity? Or was it a like, oh my gosh, this is stressful and emotional, and I think that's not in my future? Like, what was any thoughts in that way?
I don't think I could spend my whole life working primarily on that, just because like even going to the hour and a half long meeting with the kids, I feel burnt out because I feel like they all need like just one-on-one time, like attention, and I can't give that, and that like trying to manage all of them at the same time is hard.
It just the entire like foster system, social working system, people who care for people with special needs and unique. Holy cow! Like it's just it's a calling, and the people who do that are heroes for sure. All right, cool. So in preparing for the interview and talking to your mom, she also told me that you're incredibly creative and that you like to draw. Is that an accurate description?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. She said you are uber talented and can draw just about anything. I recently, and I actually just showed you this video that I'm like kind of thinking about that before we walked in here about this artist named Michael Young, who he's a local artist, and his daughter, after he passed away, had like hundreds of his pieces of art. And talking with her, she's like, I don't know what to do with it. Like, he made art because he loved art. He was a Denison professor. He wasn't making the art to sell. He was a professor making money, teaching people art. And so she's like, I just want people to have it. So she said, put a big sign out front, said free art. And people were carrying these like massive 6-foot canvases across the street. And my son and I were like, what is happening? So of course we went and checked it out. And I took a couple of pieces and we were using them for a writing activity in here. So I'm curious, like, is that similar? Like, do you feel like you are just compelled to create artistically? And maybe tell us a little bit about like, where does inspiration come from for creativity? Like, how do you get an idea of what ends up coming down on paper?
Yeah, I mean, I do it mostly in my free time. It's not like something I'm super focused on all the time. But it's kind of just like a good outlet for me, and it's just kind of like a mind break sometimes because I've still got a pretty stressful schedule, and so sometimes it's fun to like look at a picture and then create it yourself. I think there's something like cool to see that starting place and then the ending.
What do you do with your art? Do you have like a pile of it? Do you like save it, keep it?
Most of the time when I do art, I do it out of like thinking about other people. Like I like making cards, especially.
So you like give it to them?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What a gift. I mean, like, I would feel like that's really special to receive. It's way cooler than like going to buy a card or something.
I also, I'm not like a millionaire over here with lots of money, and I think that drawing can also be like showing that I still care about them.
Yeah, it's the ultimate gift, I think, for sure. My wife, I don't know if she'd be mad at me for saying this or not. She liked to paint growing up. And so she painted me. This was like our uber early in our dating. She painted me this. I love cars and Mustangs specifically. And she painted me this on like paint on a small canvas of a Mustang and gave it to me. And she was like embarrassed about it. She's like, yeah, I haven't painted in a long time, but I know you love cars. And it was just special because it was like, you did this thing for me. It like meant something. So that's the inspiration then. It's like thinking of this other person, and then out of that something comes down on paper.
Yeah. Or sometimes I also I'll read a book after reading The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Sometimes I'll the only way to process all of it, because it's such a good book, is creating a piece that represents it.
So that's your jam in English classes when you have the alternative assignment to writing. It's like, create some piece of artwork that reflects. You're like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. All right, cool. So in just prepping, you're taking a class that's enabling you to explore interests again, and you're potentially thinking about, or you are helping create a podcast space at the high school. And so you were down talking to me about that in the room, and you and I briefly started talking about what's next for you, and you had kind of an interesting answer to that I hadn't heard before. So I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about that you're applying to colleges, but not really. Like, what's your plan for next year?
My plan is to take a gap year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that? I genuinely, that was not a thing when I was growing up. Like, I didn't know anybody that was like, I'm gonna take a year to what is a gap year?
It's just like a break between any transition time, because it can really be whenever you want to have a gap year. You could have it in high school, college, whatever.
And so it's a gap year between high school and then your first year in college, but you're saying it could be like, maybe you take a gap year between your freshman and sophomore year of college or something. So it's just taking a year break. But I think in design and being labeled as a gap year, it's by design. Like, what is the point of a gap year? Like, what do you typically do with it?
I don't know. I feel like people do lots of things with their gap year. Other people that I know, they took a gap year just to do work and stuff and earn up money for college. Other people have also traveled internationally through programs, which is what I'm doing. So.
Yeah, I do feel like in the term gap year, like there's some thoughtful. It's not like I'm gonna just take a year off. I'm gonna take a year, and that's why it's a gap year, and not I'm just like stopping school. Like it is like just a momentary pause, and my intention is to then go back to school afterwards. And in that moment, I'm going to do something with intention. And so, like you said, it could be like, I need more money to be able to function my freshman year. And so I'm going to just earn money next year, and that's okay. And with that, I'll get experience, or I'm going to go study internationally. I'm going to do a program. And so, as you said, you're doing that option of going international and doing something. What is that program?
The program that I applied to is called, they're like organizations called Carpe Diem, and I'm specifically applied to their Latitude program, which is just another, like, latitude as in like the world, the lines, and I'm traveling to Southeast Asia for a semester, and then I'll be allowed to choose a independent, like, focused volunteer placement.
And so Carpe Diem is a company. Like they kind of help facilitate this experience for the year.
Yeah.
There are other ones, I'm assuming, that do something similar. And did you sign up, like Carpe Diem, do they have lots of different experiences, and this is like the one that you picked?
Yeah.
So why that experience? Why Southeast Asia?
I feel like I'm just kind of interested in the culture there, because I, come from Asia, and I thought I wanted to learn, like, by actually being there to see what it's like.
Yeah, it might answer some of those questions, even just as far as like we were talking about earlier about, like, who am I? Where do I come from? What kind of culture and heritage? That's super cool. So you go there for a little bit, and then you get to pick the next half. Is it like the next 6 months? The last 6 months, you pick a specific destination to go to.
Yeah. And then I, like, get to stay with, some people, like, other alumni, they've stayed with, like, a marine rescue group, but they've gotten to, like, stay at that time and, like, build more connections. And I think that's, like,
and that's like almost like field specific. Like, I might want to go in this as a career. Is that the idea? Like,
it doesn't have to be field specific.
I was just thinking that you said like marine biology, like that kind of. No. Did you say that, or am I imagining it?
I did say marine biology.
Oh, so like they're picking, like they're going to go hang out with, like they're going to stay in this group or this cohort of marine biology, and but you're saying like that doesn't have to be what you want to pick for a career. It just might be an interest that you're like, I'd like to go check this out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what your second will be, or do you feel like I got to go see what is there and then I'll decide afterwards?
No, they have, like, since it's such a small group, they have advisors, and they'll meet with me throughout my time in my first semester to see what would interest me for my next semester.
I love that you're not, like, they're not asking you to pick that on the front side. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, get over there and experience something and then make a decision. Will you be solo for, like, the second half and, like, with a cohort the first? Is that the idea?
Yeah. But the solo, a lot of people will choose, like, where Carpe Diem already has resources, since
Gotcha.
they're, like, pretty internationally. So you don't have to go, like, completely alone, and you'll most likely stay with the host family.
Gotcha. I mean, and so to finish up that thought, so you'll do that for a year, but the intent is you're still applying to colleges, and then you'll get accepted, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And then they will let you defer your enrollment for a year. So you're already into the college. Do you let them know ahead of time, or is it like you apply like a normal student and then you let them know afterwards that, hey, I'm gonna not come this year, I'm gonna wait and do a
yeah, I
gap year?
asked, like, some of the questions on Common App will be like, when are you planning to start your enrollment? And so I put fall of 2027.
So you were honest with them.
Yeah, because I think colleges are really encouraging people to learn and experience. And I think bringing this opportunity back to their college will even expand.
It's huge.
Their.
Do you when you say, like, when you tell them, and I'm just curious for and anybody doing an application, I think they would find it interesting. You say I'm going to be there in 2027. Is there another spot that explains why, or that you're going to take a gap year?
No, I could add it into, like, additional notes if I wanted to.
Gotcha. Maybe there's an assumption, like, people would know why, like maybe there's an assumption on their part, like you're applying to college, you obviously want to come, and you put a later start date, so you're doing something in that year.
Yeah, and they also have like a whole page that's to most colleges have a page where they're like just talking about gap year and how you can defer.
Oh, like so they're aware of it. They're on board. That it's like I said, a totally not normal thing when I was applying to colleges. But I think it's a pretty cool thing, and what I can't even imagine how different of a person you'll be when you come back. I went to Europe for 6 months and studied in Luxembourg and stayed with a host family. I didn't feel that different when I came back, but everybody else, my family, my parents, they were like, you're just completely different human being. You grew up so much. So I think that's an awesome experience. And then do you envision maybe doing it again, like in college, like signing up for a study abroad program that might be more field specific or something that you...
Yeah, potentially. I just thought a part of another reason why I wanted to take the gap year was because I needed a break from the academic world.
Yeah.
I feel like Granville, to me, has been pretty rigorous, and I was like, this would be the perfect time to take that gap year, because even if you're thinking about taking it after college, you need to start making money. You need to get your career started. So
do you do any work while you're there? Like, is it more just experiential, or are you like, do you have any kind of job or anything while you're there, or is it more just immersion in the culture, kind of, that is your job?
It's immersion, but it's also like we'll do community service work.
Gotcha. Yeah. Cool. All right, moving on. So, and we didn't talk, actually, maybe I'll broach this subject, but, and I'm assuming they helped you, but I think you work with Estrella. Is it Estrella? Australia. Australia. And they're like a college counseling. They help you make decisions and choices. And so were they involved in this gap year, like helping you find carpe diem? Any advice if there's someone listening that's like a sophomore? Would you recommend working with a counseling program like that? Like, do you think it was helpful, like beneficial? Like, what kind of things did they help you navigate?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty helpful to have that, because when I first thought about college, I felt like there's so much out there, and it was going to be really hard to just like sit down and research each college and then narrow it down. And I thought the counselor really helped me with, like, I'd be able to tell her what I want, and she would be able to know from her experience what colleges would most align with me.
I didn't even ask, like, what college are you applying to?
Right now I'm applying to McAllister College in Minnesota.
McAllister. And so I haven't ever heard of McAllister. But I think that's the beautiful part of there's so many colleges in Ohio, let alone in the entire country. And so by working with a counseling agency like that, they know of so many more places, and you got to tell them, hey, these are the kind of things I'm looking for in a college, and they're like, great, here are ones that you should kind of look at and consider. Had you heard of McAllister prior to? Yeah.
No, I did not, because mostly I feel like I've only heard of like the big schools like Michigan, OSU, and then most of the Ohio colleges I knew of.
And there's so many more out there, like so many cool experiences and opportunities. So that's awesome. Have you already applied? Is there like an early decision kind of situation?
Yeah, I'm applying early action, and that's November 1st is the biggest deadline for most seniors.
Difference between early decision and early action? Is that
early action is like you're just expressing a lot of interest in the school. Early decision is binding. Like, if you get accepted into the school, you will go to that school.
Got it. So early decision, they're like, they take in this essential cohort, and it's like you're committed. And I think they can actually, like, I don't know, maybe there's recourse, or they can come, like, I don't know what they could do if you said you were going and you didn't go. Like, I don't know what that, but it's pretty
financial.
Like, yeah,
you'd have to pay
you're committed. Where the early action is like, I really like you, but I'm not totally ready to commit completely yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the route you're taking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else? Anywhere else other than McAllister? Like, do you apply to multiple schools?
Yeah. I thought that you were only allowed to apply early action to one, just to like show you're more committed to that school. Like, so I'm only applying early action to McAllister, but some of the other ones I'm looking at are Syracuse, Skidmore out in New York, and I don't know. I don't remember really.
It's okay. Those two though. And will they get back soon? Like early action is like they'll.
Yeah, I think I know maybe January or February, like when normal people are applying for like their.
You'll know if they accepted you or not. And do you feel like if McAllister comes back, are you like, I'm in? Like, is that like your
Yeah.
first choice? Pretty committed.
I mean, I'll have to go out and visit it, which is probably the next step. But by the looks of it, and from the videos that I've watched.
And you're holding off on going out to visit to make sure you got in because it's in Minnesota. Like it's a jaunt.
I
right?
also don't have time to visit either, so.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So moving into the last section of the podcast questions. These are questions that I ask all of our guests. They are aimed at helping middle school, high schoolers who have kind of the next 4 years of runway ahead of them make better decisions potentially. If you could go back and tell your middle school self anything, so thinking back to that person sitting in the little theater, what would you have told them that would have made navigating the 4 years that came after that a little bit easier?
I don't know, probably just like finding more ways to like manage everything that I was doing. I feel like middle school was kind of the start of like a collapse of like mental health and stuff, and then going into high school was just like hit harder. But I feel like if I just would have like taken steps back, I feel like I was like a really like push driven and stuff, and I feel like maybe I didn't need to always feel that way.
Was it a feeling out of like you felt like you weren't doing those things as well as you wanted to? Is that like where the stress came from, or the anxiety? Like it was like, I want to do all these things, but now that I'm doing them, managing them is overwhelming.
Yeah, part of that definitely, and just like holding myself to a really high standard because I wanted to do a lot of things, but do a lot of things well.
Does that come back to the earlier statement you made about like you feel like you have an opportunity? And so is that where the like holding yourself to a high standard is coming from?
Yeah, I mean, I recently talked to Ryan McGuire at the art centers, and he
Shout
said
out
something.
Ryan McGuire. He's the best. He's the guy running around that has the propeller on top of his hat
and the
he
monster truck.
drives the monster.
Car.
He had the monster truck that was like yellow with purple, and he sold that, but he now still has the monster car.
Yeah. And he was talking about like, because I was thinking about like getting the podcast studio, and he was like, why would you do anything less than your absolute best? You know, like, and I was like, yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Like, why would I join anything and not give it my 100%?
Yeah. I think there's this difference though of like my best on a given day isn't necessarily always my best, and it might not be the person sitting next to me's best. And so like that's the hard part of like accepting that, is it like I can give my best and it still might not be what I wish it was, but as long as on that day I gave my best, I get to feel good about it. Does that make sense, or is that too realistic? Did that come out right?
Yeah.
Do you buy into that? Or that at least that's a good idea or thought, even though it's hard sometimes to put into practice.
Yeah, it's a good thought, but it's hard. Like I feel like, especially at Granville, it's like everything you need to do here is kind of like perfect, and
like there's a bar set, like there's this expectation. You think?
Yeah, and the bar's really, really high for no particular reason.
Well, there's a lot of high achievers, and I think as humans we naturally look around a room. Like I think unfortunately I'll classify this. I think at an early age we're conditioned to look around a room, and this isn't a Granville problem, this is human nature, and compare. Like we look around and we go like, oh, look at how they're throwing that ball and how I'm throwing the ball. I got to throw the ball better. And I think when you're in a high achieving situation with a lot of people who are driven, that can get pretty stressful, because now you have these expectations that are hard to meet, especially looking at you who signed up for a lot of things. Like when you put yourself in a lot of rooms, which I think is the right decision, and you're trying to do them all to this like high level, that becomes really hard to navigate. Is there anything you found that made that easier? So you said you'd tell your 4 years ago self, is it to have lower expectations? Because I don't think that's possible. Like, I don't know if you went back and told yourself that, you'd be like, oh, okay, I'll just accept that my best on that day was my best and everything's fine. How do you navigate that? Like, how would that person have made a better decision in that moment, or navigated that better?
I don't know. I feel like it was just being like easier on myself, I guess.
Is that possible? Because you just told me like, yeah, easy to say sounds good, but in practice,
I mean, it'd be hard, but if I would have actually started focusing on it at a sooner age, it would have been an easier habit to break as I progressed throughout high school.
do you think that, and I don't know, as I say this out loud, it's just a thought that's popping in my head, but is there a way that we help each other, like, and whether that's teachers and the expectations that we set, and then coaches, and but I guess even more so like our friend circles, our groups of, like, I think I look at my own son and the people, like his friend group, and they kind of push each other, like they're competing with each other, that I think is in kind of a healthy way, even academically, but I could also see that getting like really stressful. And so I have conversations with him sometimes about like, that's great and all, but at some point, like, the friendship is what matters. It's the relationship, and can you just help each other with the idea that like we're all doing really well, like it's good enough, like we're all succeeding or successful. I don't know if there's a question in there, but like, can we do a better job of like helping each other maintain expectations?
Probably. I don't know. I feel like my friends in middle school, we never really talked about that.
Okay.
We kind of had our different ideas on what we were like oriented towards, and I feel like I never really talked about that with them.
So do you feel like in high school, were they just personal expectations? Like, they weren't really, like, they were your own expectations for your own, like, what you thought was good or good enough. It wasn't necessarily a like social pressure, or was it like just looking outward and seeing what people are doing, and that's where the origins of the pressure came from?
Yeah. I think it was like, I mean, again, to like probably put some of it on the weight of adoption and thinking about it, I was like, if I didn't do it good enough, then there was a chance. Which obviously, again, so highly unrealistic and would never happen, but it was just like, it's not like it was always at the forefront of my mind, but I think growing up, it's just like it built into my brain, and I couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah. It was just an innate fear that you potentially had, and that even though you can logic your way through that and know that like obviously that's not something that's going to happen, and that doesn't change the fact that it could influence your drive, your internal motor. Yeah. So the go back and tell yourself is to just try to have a better, like, be easier on yourself, like have a better expectation of like that you're doing great things, or like,
start taking the time to actually like explore these thoughts and don't like just be in denial that they even exist.
Cool. So what's something from your middle high school years that you didn't totally appreciate, but looking back, you can say that it was actually pretty great?
What?
Like, in the moment, you're like, ugh. But now you can look back as somebody who's exiting Granville schools. And that could be, it doesn't have to be school oriented, but you can look back and go, you know what, I'm glad I experienced that, or I'm glad I did that thing. And even though I didn't appreciate it now, I feel like it was maybe formative, or it was important.
Oh, okay. Because I was about to say, like, if I would have had to think back to a time in school where I was like, this is horrible, I feel like I've kind of already been like, oh, but it was kind of necessary for learning, so I'm not upset about that.
Gotcha. So you already had that thought in your mind. Well, and I guess, did you appreciate it then though? Like in the moment, was it like, were you like, I don't love this. I might choose something different, but I know it's important. Like you were, that was already in your mind then.
Yeah, because a lot of people, like, my parents realized that I like really loved school, and then that kind of turned my reasoning into like, I love school because I get the chance to learn. And like, well, school is sometimes like, oh, homework, busy work, whatever. I liked the idea of like learning a new topic and then mastering it and then being able to show that I've learned something.
Hmm. So you didn't have a moment. You were just appreciating it. That's pretty awesome.
I mean, to try to think of like a big like hauling moment, I can't think of one that comes right off the top of my head.
That's great. I mean, I love that. If I could offer anyone, like if I could offer my students, like that would be a gift I would give them, is like the ability to appreciate like knowledge and learning and the process. So that's great. All right. So we talked a little bit about this, and you referenced your art and creating things. So stress is something that increases in middle school and continues to increase in high school. And I'm just wondering, is that the go-to, or are there other things? Like what have you learned that have helped you manage stress?
I think it's kind of like breaking down assignments one by one. Like, I'll do my homework and I'll just like, I'll do whatever first class it is and I'll just focus on that, and I won't think about all the other classes that I have to catch up on. Because in reality, most of the time it's not that much stuff, and if I really just sit down and do it, it shouldn't take me that much time.
Yeah, the whole table littered with things is overwhelming, but if you just go like, oh, this is a thing I can do, and then when you're done with that, you go like, okay, now this is a thing I can do. I think we do, to your point, we spend a lot of time toiling in the idea of like all the things, and it's like, no, I just need to do this thing, and then I can move on to the next thing. Do you prioritize some way? Like, is it just like literally schedule the first thing I have in my day, I need to get that done first? Or is it like, how do you choose if you have the pile of things? What's the first thing? Is it that you enjoy doing the most? Or is it that I hate this thing, so I'll do it first? And you don't hate things because you love all of school and learning. But this is going to be harder, and so I might pick that first. Or
Yeah, I guess I kind of choose whatever I am in the mood for at that moment. I mostly said that I like do it by schedule, is so that I remember like each thing I have to do. So like I'll start at my first period, but then I'll be like, okay, well, that's not like, I can get that done in like 5 minutes. Let me choose something that, like, if I'm setting a block of time that's like an hour, I should work on something that's going to take that full hour.
yeah. Do you have a favorite subject? I didn't ask that back when we were talking about colleges. And is there something that's like your jam out of all of it?
I like science, I guess, but if I have like a favorite kind of homework to do, it's probably math, because it's very like, this is the question, this is the answer, this is
Yeah.
how you get to it.
You know, if you got it right, like it feels good. You're solving something.
Yeah, I like the logical part.
Science can be a little more messy sometimes.
Yeah.
And then I didn't ask this either, and I should have. So, do you know where you're? Like, do you have an idea of major or what you think you might want to pursue?
I think it's definitely going to be STEM related, but I don't know, because I'm giving time to this gap year, because I might change my mind on if I really like international studies or something else that I find there.
Is that something that came up in your I'm looking for a college conversation with Australia? Do you like say I'm looking for a school that specializes in STEM because that's kind of where I'm learning, or I don't exactly know what I'm looking for, and so I'm looking for a school that knows it's okay to not know what I'm looking for right away? Like, is that a part of that conversation?
Yeah, I think initially when I came in, like even at the beginning of my freshman year, I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to go into like engineering or something. And I don't think I'm going to go into engineering. But I think my counselor noticed that I was kind of like all over the place, and that's why she recommended mostly liberal arts schools, which kind of allow you to become like interdiscipline into interdisciplinary
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yep.
And allow you to like they'll let you take multiple classes from different sections and then let you choose your major from there.
Nice. All right. So how about technology? So I think your class had Chromebooks in middle school starting in 7th grade. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
So you've had a Chromebook all the way through. Most people have cell phones now. Do you have a cell phone?
I do have a cell phone.
What grade did you get a cell phone? Just curious.
Maybe 5th grade.
Okay. We have an LMS, like we have learning platforms, and we spend a lot of time on technology. So I'm wondering, social media, we've got all these things, AI, we dig into that, but I'm wondering what your relationship with technology has looked like, and any tips you have for those coming behind you and how to navigate it and interact with it successfully.
I don't really know. I feel like my relationship isn't like perfect with technology and stuff. I feel like there's a lot of more resources that I could have like explored throughout it. Like I think it'd be harsh to say like, oh, I don't think there should be any technology, because there definitely are negative side effects to it. But I think that if you're like using it right, or like learning how to properly research stuff, I feel like those are like important skills. So
what would you say is like a successful or healthy way to navigate technology? So like I in school, I don't think technology is not going anywhere. And I guess there's two very different, like technology in your personal life and then technology in your school life. Is like social media, like it's a time suck for me. I mean, I waste so much time on there, but then at the same time, I also uncover a lot of things. Like, the algorithm shows me these really cool things that I often will bring into the ELM room. We do surprise and delights and things out in the world. And because I'm curious, but I also embarrassingly probably spend too much time on there doing those things and not actually like being present and living in my life. That's a part that I would like to fix. Like, do you feel like you've navigated that well? And what does that balance look like? What's a healthy balance?
I feel like it's just being aware. Like, I feel like I can't say that there's a perfect balance for anybody or even for myself. It's just like knowing, oh, wow, I've spent a lot of time, but maybe that is because I need like a break or an escape, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's just as long as I'm also getting the other stuff I need to get done.
I love that. I mean, it's an intentionality. Like I'm intentional in the use. So maybe I am spending a lot of time on there, but it was with intention, and it wasn't the technology using me. I was using the technology. Like, yeah, that's good. All right. Just last chance. Anything else you want to say on the podcast? Any advice? Any last parting bits of wisdom?
I don't know. I think that I still think that what you're doing with ELM and how much it's grown since I was in it is just like, it's amazing to look at. And I really hope that Granville keeps on striving for this.
Man, I apologize, and I'm so thankful for the early classes of ELM that I literally had no clue. I was just trying to like provide an experience of what I thought would be cool. And then the students met me where I was at, and I like got to watch you on stage share about a really powerful and important moment in your life. And then gave me an opportunity to go on stage and share a really important moment from my life with other humans. And then proved a concept that then has turned into this thing that now I think has a pretty cool system to it, where every semester I genuinely think students are living inside of stuff they care about and genuinely having a profound impact on the world around them, which when I think about kids sitting in classrooms, like waiting for an artificial goal line, like a college degree, or someone giving them permission to go out and do cool things, which you aren't, and all the things you're signing up for and the impact that you're having. I think that's it. Like, I think that agency is truly what makes school and learning exciting. and also gives kids enough control over their life that they feel like they're navigating it intentionally and have a purpose, which is, as a human, I feel like a necessity. So cool. Thanks for that compliment. I look forward to, I don't know, I hope I hear about your gap year. I hope you let me know what that's like. What a cool experience. Like, you will definitely come back a different person. And then as you go on to college and navigate the world, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
You got it. As always, thank you to my guests for taking the time to sit down and share their experience with us. A shout out to Hayes Browder, my son, for creating the original audio used in this episode. A huge thank you to the Granville Education Foundation. Their hard work and grant opportunities have made this podcast space available for my students, and I am incredibly grateful. Another shout out to all my listeners. In a content-rich world, I am humbled by those who take the time to hear the reflection, introspection, and advice offered inside these recordings. I truly believe this podcast has made me a better teacher, father, and overall human being. I hope you find that to be true as well. Until next time, be kind, be grateful, be you. All right, Mr. Browder, this is a story that I wrote a few years ago to share with the class. I used to ask them to write a story called a Corinthia, which is from the Wanting Place. And so I wrote this and shared it with them in hopes of inspiring them. Now I'm going to share it with you. It's called The Last Time. I hung up the phone. I quickly threw mismatched clothes into a bag, and I ran out the door. I had known this day would come, but that didn't make it any easier. My parents had tried to downplay the situation, but the fact that they said I should come home dismissed any reassurance they could offer. Although I tried my best, the tears began to well up in my eyes and made driving somewhat difficult. Moving down the highway towards home, a flood of memories and emotions began to run through my mind. It was odd that I was so scared to return to one place that for most of my life had been the place that had always offered me comfort. I'm reminded of a piece written by Georgia Hurd and a place she referred to as Corinthia, or a wanting place. My family farm had always been that one place that I could never get to fast enough. It was the place that recharged my batteries, a place that I missed as soon as I pulled out of the driveway. Now, oddly enough, I was in a hurry to get home and at the same time terrified of what I would find there. When I pulled into the large green gates that blocked our driveway and punched in the code, my shaking hand, I began the drive down my long driveway. After what seemed like forever, I pulled up to the house. I put the car in park and I turned off the car. As I walked up to the door, the normal feeling of excitement and calm that was typically associated with returning home was replaced with fear and uneasiness. All the happy memories that made up my childhood and young adult life were quickly squelched with these new and unwelcome feelings. Quickly exchanging hugs with the majority of my extended family that had found their way into my parents' kitchen, I walked down the steps to the basement, the place my grandfather had called home since my grandmother passed away 4 years earlier. Normally, I was excited to walk these steps and find the warm smile of my grandpa, affectionately known as Jimbo by all his friends, waiting for me. "Hey, JR," he would excitedly call out as I opened the door. This time, the last time, it obviously felt different. Slowly opening the door to my grandpa's bedroom, I met the kind eyes of the hospice nurse that was watching over my grandpa. She grabbed my hand and patted it, as if to acknowledge that she knew there was nothing she could say. Quietly, she walked out of the room, leaving me alone with the skinny and pale version of my grandpa. That was probably the hardest part, since my grandpa had always had a little extra padding, and through the naive eyes of a child, seemed to be indestructible. As I grabbed my grandpa's hand and told him that I loved him, he replied with the softest squeeze of my hand. After only a moment, I watched his chest rise and fall for the last time. It was as if he had been waiting for me to get home so that he could say goodbye. That quickly, the patriarch and rock of our family was no longer with us. The tears began to well up in my eyes, and I said my final goodbye. Not a moment later, I felt my dad's hand on my shoulder. We walked arms around each other's shoulders, out of the room, and into a world that would forever be different.